And then the number 2 most annoying thing, the horn is insanely sensitive. Like, you just sort of brush your hand against the surface and it sets it off. Hey crew, I've got the key to my Cadillac CT5-V Blackwing parked just on the other side of this new Lexus LX 600 that my wife is currently reviewing. And my Blackwing is wrapped up in a sealskin semi-custom car cover with a hard shell on the outside that's waterproof, keeping it safe from the elements. And on the inside, to protect the paint, it's got a wool liner. And you can grab one of these for whatever you're driving with the description card right here and get a discount of 15%. Look at that electric blue paint. That's what I wanted to preserve here, and the car cover does a great job of that. In terms of spacing in my driveway, the Blackwing is parked just a couple inches from the edge, and the LX 600 is also parked just a couple inches from the edge, and that leaves plenty of room to walk between the two vehicles. And the Blackwing's door mirrors do fold up and in when locked. My wife and I can easily wheel a double stroller through here, and in terms of the length, it's got a lot of space between the garage door and the back of the car, and the nose is sitting with that carbon fiber front splitter just over the edge into the gutter area of my driveway. Let me complete the removal of this car cover and hop inside now. That is more like it. Now I am going to go to the driver's seat to get in, but first I wanted to show you the door opening space here parked next to a vehicle that frankly isn't too close, but let me just show you that. And as I first approach the Blackwing, it'll automatically unlock the vehicle and unfold those door mirrors, but in this case it's been sitting waiting for too long. It relocked itself. So I just put my hand on the back of the door handle, press on the pad, that unlocks the door, and this is the first notch of opening right there, second notch right there, third I don't think I'm going to get to before hitting those running boards, but even 2 notches is a lot of room to easily slide inside. Now to the driver door. Alrighty then. Hello cabin crew. Thank you for joining me for another day in the life video with my 23 Cadillac CT5-V Blackwing. Always love that display on the gauge cluster and infotainment. Now typically in these videos I pose a question at the beginning or wonder aloud and then use the video to answer that question. But in the case of this car, I've owned this Blackwing for over a year, so I kind of know all there is to know about it. So instead I'm going to pose a hypothesis and then use this video to prove that to you. And that hypothesis is that this Blackwing is the most enjoyable high-performance sedan to live with. And the way I think best to do that is by starting with a joyride. So that's first on the agenda, then I'll get into comforts and practicality and fuel economy, all of that later. Let's now fire it up. The cold start in the Blackwing is just fantastic. Let's listen to the idle outside this vehicle. The rumble of that V8, which quickly settles in to a modest idle, and that is one of the first points I love about this Blackwing. Yes, the startup is a massive chorus, but then it's pretty tolerable if you're just sitting here idling for a moment, getting the car warm before you need to head on out to work, or in my case, to go have some fun behind the wheel. But before I can go anywhere, I need to offload the items I brought with me, including sunglasses and a granola bar. Those can go in the console, which is very small, I'll be honest. And then I've got my smartphone, which can go on the wireless charging pad, which is a grippy surface. I appreciate that so the phone doesn't go flying. Now I did have to bring a regular old 16-ounce water bottle because my big bottle doesn't fit anywhere in this cabin. Not in the cup holders, not in the door pockets, just kind of rolls around on the floor. And I don't want that for our joyride, so it's just this in the cup holders. Then I've got the key fob, which does have its own little slot right here. I like that. And I do have, for what I'm doing here, my GoPro accessories, and those, like the big bottle, can't really fit anywhere, including in the door pockets. That's just gonna go flying. Don't want that, so these stay on the floor. Big item storage, not the best in the Blackwing. So with that, let me throw on my seatbelt, release the parking brake, throw it into first gear, and roll on out. The curb ramp's pretty essential for clearance. I do not want to scrape that carbon fiber front splitter And before I exit my neighborhood, just remark on the fact that I love that it automatically turns on the heated steering wheel and heated front seats when it detects that the temperature inside the cabin is below the temperature I've indicated I want on the climate controls. Speaking of heating, the oil is now up to temperature, so it's time to heat things up. Oh, the power! One of the key reasons why I chose the Blackwing is its 668 horsepower supercharged V8. And how that makes you feel, especially when you get the opportunity to do a no-lift shift. Take that dual clutch automatics, almost as quick. Okay, not really, but way more engaging. This Tremec 6-speed manual is a pleasure to operate. And the power from this V8 is intoxicating. And then there's the handling. With this steering system that's brimming with feedback, and these adaptive dampers which have firmed up here to cut unwanted body motions. It just transforms into an insanely capable corner carver. There's grunt down low. The carbon ceramics also do an incredible job cutting speed and giving you that wonderful initial bite. Oh, I love my car. The beauty of it is that this is rear drive, but the limited slip differential in the back is so sophisticated. It's so good at getting power to the ground that the Blackwing feels just as fast as very fast all-wheel drive sedans. And I mean, don't just take my word for it. The Blackwing has proven to be faster around Willow Springs than the BMW M5 CS, which was the other vehicle I was considering before choosing this one. But as hopefully being made clear, I don't regret my choice at all. What a machine! What an animal! What a very thirsty animal. I need to go get gas. Now, on the somewhat nerve-wracking drive to the fuel station, I hope I make it there, I want to talk through the fuel economy of this car because I have the benefit of having put on all of the 2,600 miles that are on the odometer in this car. And I'll tell you what, apart from just a handful of highway trips that I've done, never really exceeding more than 100 miles, and in that time I actually beat the EPA estimated 21 mpg highway rating. I got like 22 or 23 mpg. But apart from those times, it's all been either around town when I'm interviewing someone or driven in anger when I'm making my own videos. And so to see here that the average fuel economy has been 14.5 mpg, which is just a little below the EPA combined rating of 15 from 13 city and 21 highway, that's actually really impressive to me, and means that while this is just a small 17-gallon fuel tank, and that's actually the worst part about it, pretty good on gas for 668 horsepower. Now, there is one benefit to having a smallish fuel tank, and that is that when I do need to fill up and it's $5.27 for a gallon of 91 octane fuel, means that for this 17-gallon tank, it's gonna cost me around 90 bucks. And let's not forget the best part. Capless fueling, saving every second here at the fuel station. All right, it's just about time for lunch, but on my way to lunch, I wanna talk about my number one and number two most annoying things in the Blackwing. In order, the turning radius. It is horrendous. If that wasn't such a wide area to turn around in, I would have to multi-point turn a U-turn that no other sedan should have to do. It's so bad. And then the number 2 most annoying thing, the horn is insanely sensitive. Like, you just sort of brush your hand against the surface and it sets it off. And yet, I can quickly move beyond those things because my second favorite thing about the Blackwing after the performance is the ride quality. So on the one end, it firmed up the suspension to improve the handling, but on this end, around town, over just about anything that you're going to encounter, the ride is sublime. It's well insulated inside the cabin. The suspension takes all the punishment for you. It keeps the ride compliant, and you just stay relaxed. It is a true Cadillac, despite being on the other end of it, a very high performance sedan. And then these seats are incredibly adjustable. I got the carbon fiber buckets, and yet they are heated and ventilated. They've got a lumbar massage. I can adjust the thigh support. I can bring in the bolsters or let them relax a little bit. So I found a great driving position for myself at 6 feet tall. They're not overly supple, but man, combined with this ride quality, I love spending time behind the wheel of this car, whether I'm really getting on it or whether I'm just putzing around town. It's so darn agreeable. When thinking of a spot for lunch, I wanted something that would match the fast but classy character of this Blackwing. And I think urban plates is going to fit the bill quite nicely. And parking gives me an occasion to show off one of my other favorite features, the surround view camera system in ultra high resolution. And ooh, I can park right next to a 911 that's in a very similar shade of blue. Not exactly the same, mine's a little bit brighter, but very close. And the camera system is gonna give me the bird's eye top view and a front-facing camera, along with a wheel shot, so I can line things up just perfectly between the lane markings. And come to rest. Engage that parking brake, and let's go get some food. Yeah, my blue's better. Let me know in the comments if you disagree. And there we go, mere moments later, I've got my roasted chicken, Brussels sprouts, sweet potatoes, and bread. All right, now that I'm refueled, I think it's time for some exercise. My game of choice is tennis, and I do have a tennis ball machine along with my tennis bag and some tennis balls. Let's see how the Cadillac CT5-V Blackwing accommodates. The trunk opening isn't terribly large. The trunk space is decent. I think we'll first start by putting down this towel and then seeing if the biggest item is going to fit first. This tennis ball machine on its side might make the pass in, clearing that part. And, well, now getting stuck there, and I don't even think it would matter because even if I got over that, it wouldn't get over the handle. So I need to think of something else for this. All right, so the bag, balls, and my water bottle fit just fine in the trunk. But what about this ball machine? I'm thinking in the back seat, but I'm not gonna have it on my leather seats. I'm going to pull the seat back down and then lay out this towel. See if I can get it inside without doing any damage. All right, I think we're in business. You know, my view out the back is a little compromised with that ball machine there, but thankfully, I've got a digital rearview mirror to see right through it. All right, I've made it without incident, without damage to the carbon fiber on the back of the seats. We're all good. And that means it's time to go play some tennis. So I will see you guys tomorrow for a commute in the Blackwing to my accountant's office to do some tax prep. So exciting. And I'm back in Blackwing for a commute of sorts to my enrolled agent's office today. And on that commute, I've got the wireless Apple CarPlay system going, which I know this infotainment isn't the latest from Cadillac. They've got the new like 33-inch screen in the CT5 with an updated UI, but I've never had an issue with lagginess or resolution from this screen. Super responsive and easy to use. I love that. And then having the wireless CarPlay with the wireless smartphone charging is just a really nice pairing, so I don't have any cords running around cluttering the visuals and also cluttering the actual console area. So this is really nice. And now that I'm coasting at highway speed, let's talk about the cabin volume. So I'm gonna quiet up for a moment here. And while acknowledging this is among the louder road surfaces on a highway that I'm going to encounter with all the grates in this surface compared to the smoothness of tarmac, still the tire noise is not bad at all. Get a little bit of road noise when passing things like semi-trucks, but even that is minimal. The wind noise kept low. The engine in the Tour drive mode is barely making a burble at part throttle here. Just becomes a very relaxed, well-insulated commuter experience in the Blackwing. And in terms of visibility, I can see out easily over the hood. The windows are nice and large. Even the small blind spot of the C-pillar is not that big of a deal, and I do have blind spot monitoring as standard. There are also some highway assist features. Because I got the manual, I don't have the adaptive cruise control or the available Super Cruise you can get in the CT5 or the CT5 Blackwing. And in terms of driving assist features, because I got the 6-speed manual, I locked myself out of the available Super Cruise system or even an adaptive cruise control system. So I just have regular cruise control, but I do keep a lane keep assist function. So I'll show you by just departing my lane a little bit. It'll notice and tuck me back in. Now it would ping pong me in the lanes if I let it, so it's not a lane centering assist, but it just is helpful if you become distracted for a moment. It's gonna bring you right back in the lane. But what about traffic, Miles, like I'm about to encounter here? Well, yes, certainly in this situation, I wouldn't say no to an adaptive cruise control system or just having the automatic shift the gears for me. But here's the good news. This manual is not only engaging in the handling stuff, the high performance environment that I was encountering yesterday, but it's also not a chore to use in traffic. The clutch pedal doesn't require a whole lot of leg effort to engage, so hopefully it won't be worn out after 30-40 minutes of traffic, and yet the friction point is very well defined. And then the gearbox, the throws are really nice and tidy, the linkage is tight, the gates are well defined. Now I'm not going to rule out the fact that some people who are just going to be in traffic a lot are still going to prefer the automatic, but for me, who's not in this environment all that often, this is definitely the way to go. And this gearbox has one other nice feature, and that is the rev match function. So if I am in traffic and I need to downshift, I don't have to be blipping the throttle all the time, heel toeing it, or just wearing out the synchros. It'll just blip that for me. I made it, which means I get to go experience one of the joys of owning your own business, extremely convoluted taxes. All right, that was less painful than expected, which is the best thing I can say about doing my taxes typically. And now I want to show off the family friendliness of this Blackwing. So I'm going to install some car seats and see how they fit. Taking a peek at the Blackwing's car seat setup. 2 sets of lower latch anchors, 3 top tethers. Now I need to see how rear facing car seats will fit behind those carbon fiber buckets. I'm gonna need some help from Mobile Mama.
Always. What are we doing?
I need your help to install cars. Do I? Am I just shooting myself in the foot here? Come on, let's go. I'm gonna install some car seats.
You chose this life.
Now, one thing I do like about the Blackwing is that it's got these plastic covers, but they don't just come off and hang loose so you don't lose them. They stay right there. So let's see as we put in these rear-facing car seats. This one for a toddler.
Oh, gotta move this forward so I don't hit the carbon fiber.
I actually didn't have to move the seat at all.
I didn't either.
Nice. And you've got yours in. Okay, I'll get this all cinched up and we'll see how we've done. You know, while I'm back here, it is worth mentioning that though I have plenty of leg room and foot pocket room, my head is pressed against the roof, so I can't comfortably sit with my head against that backrest, even if I didn't have the hat on. And even if the person back here could fit easily with headroom, they might be fighting with their fellow passenger over the one USB-C port, and then you got a DC outlet. Conveniences need to be upgraded in the back of the Blackwing for sure. Both car seats are in and secure, and look at all this room between my driver's seat at 6 feet tall and the car seat. On your side, you sit inside. What do you got?
I got lots of room.
You are 5'9", and look at that gap.
Plenty of space.
Well, it's a good thing this one is family approved because we've had it for a year.
Yeah, that's how you convinced me it was time to buy it.
Yeah, so it's a family vehicle.
Yeah.
With a 668 horsepower V8.
Yeah.
And manual gearbox. Marriage.
What about it?
That's collaboration like that. You let me buy the cars and then I make sure that they can hold kids.
Well, first you need to make sure they can hold kids, then you buy the car.
Yeah, so like I said, you let me buy the cars and I'll make sure that they hold kids.
Oh my gosh.
At the beginning of this video, I didn't ask whether the Cadillac CT5-V Blackwing is the most enjoyable high-performance sedan. I just kind of said it is. It's the reason I've owned it for a year. I believe it is. And hopefully through this video, you've come to agree with me. If not, then you'll probably be referencing things like the lack of large item in-cabin storage, or the small fuel tank, or the horrendous turning circle, or the overly sensitive horn, or the fact that large adults don't fit really well in the rear seats, all of which are legitimate concerns, especially that turning radius. But ultimately, for me at least, none of those things were complete deal breakers, and certainly not when viewed alongside this car's many strengths. Things like the velvety ride quality, the ample power, the sensational handling, the easy to use and yet engaging gearbox, the clutch camera system in high resolution, and the space for car seats. In short, I have many good reasons why I've adored every minute of my ownership tenure. And if you're not sold by this video, well, then there are more Blackwings for the rest of us.